Okay, so shall I start again?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I'd like to welcome all of you to today's webinar. Thank you for tuning in. On behalf of Manila House, this is Bambina Olivares, Director of Programming, welcoming members and non-members alike to today's online conversation about acquiring the Greece Golden Visa. This is presented in partnership with Golden Visa Central. If this is your first time to join us online, allow me to introduce Manila House. We are a private members club that opened in February 2017 with the aim of bringing together an assemblage of people from the business, creative, cultural, and intellectual communities who are drawn to each other by a shared interest to continuously learn about art, culture, food, business, and politics, and from the diversity of their fellow members themselves. It is a community of curious, committed, and caring individuals, and it lives beyond the physical confines of the club, hence today's webinar. So before we begin, just a few ground rules. This event is being recorded and live streamed and will be up on the might be up on the Manila House YouTube channel in a day or two. If not, please call us if you'd like to see, or get in touch with us if you'd like to get a copy of the video. Please use the chat box and the Q&A box for any questions and comments, and we'll get to your questions as we go along. So I'd just like to say, as a premise for today's talk, that in a world of growing instability, more and more people are starting to regard second passports and residencies as a good investment. Many countries are open to what is known as a golden visa scheme, which is subject to an investment in property. Greece's golden visa scheme is fairly new offering as far as Manila House and our partner Golden Visa Central are concerned, but it's fast gaining in popularity. And here to tell us more are a team of experienced advisors who will take care of everything you need to know should you decide to apply for this visa program, from the properties you might want to invest in and to the legal processes involved. So allow me to introduce them to you. Vicky Luis is the president and founder of Golden Visa Central in the Philippines, who also happens to be a member of Manila House. She graduated in California and has been in the real estate and mortgage industry in the San Francisco Bay Area since the mid-90s. She's one of the pioneers who brought the Portugal Golden Visa program to the Philippines and has had numerous sales with a 100% success rate. Golden Visa Central is the only Filipino owned advisory firm to offer residency by investment to Filipinos. They have over 200 satisfied clients who are in various stages of the GV program. Also joining her, we have Rosalia Torres, who is a partner at Irish Capital Partners. Rosalia has a Master's of Science degree in Economics from the University Carlos III in Madrid, Spain. She has 12 years of banking experience in Spain and the UAE, covering the real estate market, among other key industries. She moved to overseas real estate advisory and immigration through property investment, specializing in global wealth creation and second citizenship solutions through cross-border real estate investment and development by founding the companies Al España Properties and Global Minds, which later went on to merge with Irish Capital Partners. And her colleague from Irish Capital Partners, who is a Chief Investment Officer, is Rakesh Majitia, who is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. He joined the preeminent investment bank in 2000, where he spent 10 years working on a variety of investment banking and real estate financing transactions. He moved to the hedge fund industry as a partner in 2010. He established himself as a real estate investor in 2013 and co-founded Aram Capital Limited. And the Greek specialists joining us today include Valia Tsanopoulou, who's an attorney at law at the Tsanopoulou Law Firm, which was established in 2007 and is comprised of an experienced team of lawyers specializing in immigration law. They collaborate with notaries and accountants who have extensive experience in working with foreign investors. Over the years, they have successfully represented numerous clients in acquiring real estate and the right to reside in the European Union through the Greek Golden Visa program. And with that, I turn you over to Vicky Luis, who will tell you more about the Greece Golden Visa. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you, Bambina. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Vicky Luis, President of Golden Visa Central. Today we will share why Greece's Golden Visa program is the gateway to Europe. We will guide you through the process of investing and enjoying the option for second residency in Europe, specifically Greece. We will cover the relatively simple requirements and benefits of the Greek Golden Visa and why it is one of the most popular programs in the world. I have introduced the various Golden Visa programs in the Philippines since 2019, and I'm proud to say we have served over 200 families and have had 100% success rate. And I have been very passionate about the Golden Visa programs, as I felt it could help a lot of my fellow Filipinos. I have a teenager daughter who will eventually be going to university abroad, and I learned how much savings a parent could have when you send your child to school as a resident versus that of a foreign student. The Greece Golden Visa program is so exciting. The processing time is only between 4 to 6 months, after which you can realize your permanent residency card. I would like to emphasize that this card is a permanent resident card, not a temporary one. With the other Golden Visa programs, the temporary card needs to be renewed every 2 years or so. So this is a permanent residency card with a 5-year validity. Moreover, you're not required to stay, visit, or relocate to Greece. There's absolutely no stay required. Now, isn't that amazing? Upon receiving your permanent resident card, you're now immediately able to have legal access to live and access the healthcare and education in Greece. You also now have visa-free access to the Schengen area with your Philippine passport and your residency card. Additionally, with only one investment of only 250,000 euros or 15 million pesos, you can also bring 3 generations of your family. These are just some of the benefits. I shall leave the rest to my team, who will highlight the program to you. And they have been introduced by Bambina, and they actually have been with me. Rakesh and Rosalia have been my partners doing other Golden Visa programs. They're also developers in Portugal and London. And we have been working together for the last 4 years. A lot of our investors have already realized their investments and have been receiving rents through them. They have been in the Philippines many times, so a lot of people already know them in the Philippines. They're half Filipino now, guys. And also, we are joined by my partner law firm in Greece, Valia Toplu, who's joining us today. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me now turn you over to Rakesh.
Okay, thank you everyone, and good afternoon. I think Vicky's highlighted quite well some of the benefits that investing in a property overseas might bring, particularly in a country like Greece. And I think the idea is today to take everyone on a little bit of a journey. For those of you that haven't been to Greece, and that is to say, we're going to explain the country of Greece, or rather introduce the country of Greece, the economy, the government, the real estate markets. That's the first part of the presentation. The second part is an explanation of what the Golden Visa program is, what the conditions are to access it. And then finally, we land on our most recently launched Greek development that is indeed Golden Visa eligible. So that will be the checklist that we will follow for today's presentation. But before we do that, let me just start with a bit more of an introduction to Arish Capital Partners, who we are and what we do. As Vicky mentioned, we've had the pleasure of coming out to the Philippines now for a number of years, probably 5 years or so. And we have been doing various developments that we've had your fellow countrymen investing in. Many of those investors from the early days have now received their properties and indeed are achieving their Golden Visa ambitions. So Arish is a real estate investment and development company. We've been going now for coming up to 13 years. We have offices in London, that is indeed where our head office is, in Dubai, which is actually where we have our sales and operations team, and is indeed where I sit, and in Lisbon, which looks after all of our Portuguese assets. And we also have now an office in Athens, recently opened. Just to give you an idea of the investments that we've been doing in the last sort of 12, 13 years or so, very much focused on what I would call niche sectors. So a lot of student accommodation, care homes for the elderly, as well as residential and commercial schemes. If we move to the next slide, you'll see a snapshot of just some of those developments that we have indeed gone through over the years. And if anyone is interested in our track record in more detail, then Vicky does have our sort of corporate profile, which she can send around after today's webinar. Now, moving to sort of stage one of the checklist. Things that we were going to be talking about. Really, this is Rosalia to come up and talk you through some of the headline factors for Greece. So Rosalia, over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to be with you today. I think that when we speak about golden visa, and we all have in mind the major benefit of having this additional residency, we can't forget about the investment piece. At the end, this is a residency by investment, and we are going to deploy some equity in a different country. So it's very important that we understand what are the factors to consider, why we believe that this is a smart investment, and also what has Greece as a country, what is going to offer to us and our family if we ever reside there or as we visit throughout the years. We, for those that have not been in Greece, of course, it is European country. It's relatively small, around 11 million population. Maybe you can help me through passing to see the data. It's Athens is its capital. It has a very long life expectancy, and this is probably because of the lifestyle, the Mediterranean diet, and it's one of the most popular countries in Europe. It's beautiful scenery, very sunny, sunshine throughout the year. And it's actually quite easy to navigate in terms of the language because a big percentage of the population speaks a fluent English. So we can go from the restaurants, the hotels, but also the lawyers, doctors, etc., will be speaking our language. If we move to the next slide, few points that are also quite relevant when we talk about the government and when we talk about the system. It is, of course, a democracy. European Union since 1981, which is one of the first countries in Europe to join. It has a top healthcare system. So despite that it's south of Europe country that sometimes we don't realize about this, it's very advanced in technology. And one of the areas that is quite known is because of the healthcare. It has a very unique geographical location. It connects 3 continents, and because of this, many multinationals are based in Greece that are handling Europe, Asia, and Africa. We have economy that is now growing, and we will talk a bit about that because this is one of the main reasons why today Greece is the top country in Europe to invest. So if we move to the next slide, we'll go a bit deeper into the economy. Ims, you can take through the slides so we can see all of the information. So we all know from the news that Greece was one of the countries that suffered the most in the financial crisis of 2008, 2013, or 2008, 2009, and it suffered until 2013, a decline of the GDP of 25%. Now, today, all these have changed very much, and we see that the country is growing at one of the fastest path in Europe. It is also having real estate sector that is gaining in value, that is increasing, of course, in demand and in prices. And also, we have a banking system that is now gaining in resilience and stability. And why all this is happening? If we go to next slide, we see who is the government in power at the moment. Is being re-elected for the second mandate very, very recently. And it's a prime minister that is very actually pro-business. It is an ex-Harvard graduate, ex-banker. It is son of a previous prime minister that did very, very well in the country. So totally confident and in charge of the country, very determined to make it as a important a country in the worldwide, to the point that we've seen that in the last year, the foreign direct investment has increased in 74%. And this is not only the golden visa, obviously, that has the small impact in individual investment, but there is a lot of investment in terms of corporation institutions. We're going to see about that. But before, something that is very relevant, especially for those that have a little bit of financial background like us, when we look into the country and how is the public debt, how is the rating that it has internationally, one of the facts that give us very much confidence is that recently Greece had issued a 15-year syndicate bond of raising 3.5 billion, and it was oversubscribed by very much 3 times the amount, and it was at a 4.45 interest rate, so very near to actually what Germany and the rest of the strong countries in Europe are doing. And this is a big fact. This is telling us it's a big confidence internationally about Greece. Everyone agrees that Greece now has done very well internally, that is ready to grow, and we see private investments from multinationals, technological multinationals, but also from different governments such as US, UAE, etc. With all of these, and leaving aside the golden visa piece for a second, we believe that Greece is the country to invest when we look into Europe. Ims, we can move ahead. And how all these have translated into the real estate market. Let's see what the real estate market has to offer us. So when we look into all the industry reports, this is perceived, what we were saying, Greece is #1 in Europe as the country in perception for capital appreciation, for return, that one that today has a lot more to offer than the others. If we move to the next slide, we see that despite all these big signs of improvement, we still have property prices 30% below what it was before the financial crisis. And this is the only country in Europe where we see this opportunity. Every other country has already gone through this path, has already recovered. In Greece, we see that prices are growing. Last year, we already had an 11% of recovery, but we still have a big room of appreciation for those that are looking to invest today. How we summarize all of the, as Ares Capital Partners, as investment company, what do we see in the country? We saw a country that is undervalued as against the rest of Europe, that is undervalued as against its own marks pre-crisis, pre-financial crisis in 2008. We see an economy that is growing, that is already strong, that is actually leading that growth in Europe. And we also see that the government is very much stable, is a government that is pro-business, that is encouraging the foreign direct investment, and that has been just re-elected. We do have 4 years ahead, at the very least, of stability. And to us, this is what determines Greece to be a smart investment. So once we have clarity that Greece is a country where we can comfortably and confidently deploy our capital and expect good growth and expect good returns, and also to store our value. Let's talk about this additional benefit. What is the country going to offer us? And I think that we sometimes forget in our day-to-day life how important it is to have a plan B, what is called the second residency. That's second home, that if anything happened where we live, we just go to the airport and go and relocate without any paperwork, without any delay. We spend yearly quite a lot of money on premiums for insurances to prevent if anything happened to us, and what would take care of our family, etc. But we forget how important it is that during lifetime, we can have many other risks, and those have to be also looked after. So this is what a golden visa is. A golden visa is just the coverage or the protection for any possible risk that happen in our home country and that we have to relocate our family. It also gives us freedom. It gives us freedom to travel. It gives us freedom to do professional trips or personal trips with our family. So if we move ahead and we learn a little bit about what it is, the Golden Visa is a residency program by investment. And Greece has one of the most interesting ones because the investment value is the lowest in Europe, and also because it's very flexible in terms of the amount of family members that I can reunify, but also the little time that I need to spend in the country. I only need to visit one time every 5 years Greece in order to maintain my residency. That is actually a permanent residency. So by only investing 250,000 euros in a property in Greece, which we learned already that is safe, that is actually very lucrative, and that will give me that value over time, it also offers that possibility of freedom, and it offers that possibility of safety. When we move to the next slide, if you move actually there is very good slide in terms of summary. When we look into what are the requirements, this is another big benefit of Greece. Is very, very straightforward and simple process. All I need is to have a valid passport and to have done my property investment. I signed the deeds, I officially and legally the owner of the property, and with this I will be able to apply for my golden visa and be enjoying the benefits for 5 years. I will have a medical insurance in Greece, which is actually quite also useful in order to be covered if I travel to the country, if I relocate. And this is a very small cost. It's around 100 to 200 euros per year per applicant, depending on the age. I don't need any other documents. I don't need police clearance, and sometimes they say take some time. I don't need any personal interview. There's absolutely nothing else that I have to present. It's a document-based process, and as long as I have my investment done, I will be eligible. And who on my family I'm going to be able to relocate? Main applicant, spouse, the kids that are under the age of 21, and also the parents and parents-in-law with no conditions. So whether they are 40, 50, 60, 80 years old, there's no limit on the age. So any number of family members with those links to the main applicant will benefit with only an investment of 250,000 euros. After the call, we encourage you to share with us, send an email to Vicky, get in touch with her, give her your specifics on the family, and we will work around what is the best approach and the best structure. From the time that I'm issued my residency, which is a residency card, an ID, I will be able to travel in Schengen with no visa. I don't need even my passport. I just go with my residency card and I travel anytime. I also have the right to live in Greece, not the obligation. So again, if I am happy in the Philippines, if I have my business, if I have my family, I have no intention to relocate. I just want a safety plan. I just want that possibility. If any instability happens around me and I fear for my family, I can relocate them next day. That is what this golden visa is giving me, an option, not an obligation. So since the time I have my card, Greece is my second home and I can use it as much as I want. Very, very important. There are no tax impacts, or I have no tax implications with the golden visa, meaning that the fact that my residency card is issued will not make me tax resident in Greece. I will not pay taxes at all for the income that I generate in my home country or anywhere else. The only taxes that I pay are those that are generated in Greece. We are going to take you through the property investment through Aris project in Greece. And this is very much an income generated investment. So you will have a rental, and that rental will be taxed in Greece, only that. And that is, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when my colleague comes along, but it's around 15%. So quite actually low for Europe, but that's the only tax. Anything else that I own or I generate in Philippines or any other country will continue to tax wherever is taxed at the moment. So that's very, very important. Now, what is the cost of the program? Very low relatively to other programs, because everything that I will pay is the property and the government fees, which are around 2,166 euros for a family of 4. So the main applicant is 2,000 euros, but a family of 4 is 166. So if we press the next button, actually, please, IMS, we will see what is the amount for the family of 4, what is around 3,100. So main applicant 2,166, the full family 3,000 euros, just a little bit above. So very small amount that I will have to pay every 5 years. And of course, very much covered with the income that I generate in the property. So if you were to say, I want to onboard the program, what is the amount that I have to pay overall, including the transactional costs, including furnishing my property? What can I expect to spend? Property, 250,000 euros. Furniture pack would be around 10,000 euros. And then we have the acquisition taxes. That is 14,850. Golden visa fees, we just saw that is 3,000 for a family of 4. So this is altogether 277,000 euros without including the legal fees. This is something that the lawyer will discuss with you later. Please keep this amount in mind because there is a very beneficial promotion run for those that are booking before 31st of Jan, only at that time, and there is an important saving to be made in this amount. Just keep this as a figure until we get back to it. Thank you very much for your time, and we are going to move now to the most exciting part. It is property. Of course, we will take some Q&A at the end. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rossi. So checkpoint for everyone. So we've learned a little bit about the country of Greece, the real estate market, the government. We've also now just heard from Rossi the Golden Visa program, how it works, how you can access it. So this is now the final part of the presentation, which indeed talks you through our recently launched Greek development. The development is called Arish Wonderwall. It qualifies for Golden Visa with the minimum investment amount of 250,000 euros. And I'm going to be talking you through exactly the details of that particular project. But just to give you the heads up, it is actually a very passive type of investment in that we don't want people to become invested overseas into perhaps a residential apartment and then get a call at 3 a.m. to say that the toilet is blocked or whatever. This is a fully managed and passive investment because it's a student accommodation facility which comes with a specialist operator, and therefore it is meant to be by design a very convenient type of investment, primarily aimed at those investors that are driven by that Golden Visa ambition. So let me talk you through a little bit as a starting point about the exact location of our particular asset. And we're actually located in the city of Patra, which is indeed the third largest city within Greece itself. And it's about 2.5 hours driving distance to Athens, for those of you that have been to Athens. Population is over 200,000, so around 216,000. And what is Patra known for? Actually, it's known for two main things. The first is that it is very much a university town, in excess of 35,000 students. It's actually home to 3 of the leading and highly ranked universities within Greece. They're here on the right-hand side, number 1, 2, and 3. I won't try and pronounce their names because I'll get them horribly wrong. And that's the main stay, if you like, of Patra. It's a university town. But the second thing that Patra is known for, like much of Greece, is that it does have a very active shipping and port activity. You can see in this background picture, it does have a beautiful coastline. And this bit here actually has an active port. So the main microeconomy of Patra is the students and the port activity. In terms of location, you can see it's quite a stunning background because we have the fair share of beaches, which are lovely, but also we have the mountains in the background. So turning to the asset itself and specifically where it's located, Wonderwall is located just here, which is this red highlighted building. It's about 4 minutes walk from the beach and about 5 minutes walk to Patra city centre. The building already exists. It's just under 3,000 square meters, and we are going to be renovating it into a student accommodation facility. All of the approvals, etc., are already in place. And the renovation timeline is around 15 months. And therefore, we will be going live for the academic year starting in September 2025. Once renovated, it will be 56 individual studio apartments with one commercial unit. And as I mentioned, by design, this is meant to be a fully managed and passive investment. And therefore, this comes with the benefit of a 15-year operator and management lease. I'll come on to explain who that operator is, but rest assured, this will be fully managed. Now, like most recently developed purpose-built student accommodation facilities, this will be a very modern facility. We'll have an on-site gym, laundry, rooftop gardens, etc. So very different to at least when I was at university, where student accommodation was very, very basic. And I think with that as a summary of the asset itself, I want to talk very quickly about what the investment opportunity is. And perhaps the question is, why would you invest in student accommodation? And I think that's a reasonable starting point for those of you that are asking that question. I think just a little bit of background on this. Purpose-built student accommodation is a trend that actually started in the US around 30 years ago. The investment hypothesis then was that students like living together in a community and therefore they would learn better. That trend took off massively in the US, so much so that student accommodation now is considered to be a very institutional grade asset. What do I mean by that? Well, pension companies, insurance companies want to own this type of asset because it gives them stability of annuity, i.e. income. That trend migrated from the US to the UK, and in the UK, it also proved to be extremely popular. We ourselves, Arish, have developed several student accommodation facilities within the UK, so we have a lot of experience in this sector. I guess now the trend has been, for the last sort of 5 years or so, that those US and UK developers are looking for new development grounds, and I think Southern Europe has become particularly of interest. If I give you some statistics on Greece alone, Greece has over 700,000 students in the country itself. Within Patra, we have 35,000 students. And believe it or not, within Patra, there is actually only one other purpose-built student accommodation facility which houses 90 students. So from our perspective, the supply and demand imbalance alone puts us in a position where we believe this asset will continue to grow and thrive. And I think also with the backdrop that Rosalia mentioned about the Greek real estate market, with student accommodation considered to be a counter-cyclical asset, it becomes very popular, particularly in these current times where we're experiencing higher inflation, higher interest rates, and a little bit of instability in the worldwide economy. So hopefully that answers the why question. But coming back to the investment opportunity, the investor comes in with the minimum investment amount of 250,000. Now, because this does benefit from a 15-year management and operator lease, for the first 5 years, you also have certainty of income in that the income will be guaranteed, which is 5% per annum for each one of those 5 years. And thereafter, between years 6 and 15, it goes on to a market rate of return, i.e. whatever the students are paying, the investors will get their share of. Keep in mind that these 56 apartments will be individual title deeds. So this is not a co-ownership. Each investor will receive their own individual title deed, which is obviously the strongest form of legal title that you can have. Now, with that as the backdrop, I want to come back to a little bit more about the micro-location. I've already mentioned we're 4 minutes walk from the beach, 5 minutes from the city centre, but thinking about all the other things that are important for students, well, we're 7 minutes walk away from the train station, we're within a 10-minute walking distance of the main university campuses, we have Athens International Airport around 2.5 hours away. Patra also has its own domestic airport, which also does cater to some European airlines. So everything that students would want, or put differently, everything that parents who are sending their students to university would want, Patra has. Keep in mind, it's a very well-established university town already. And this is what the building will look like post the renovation. As you can see, it's very modern, 56 individual studio apartments. We have a lot of common amenity space for those students to sit and gather, work together, get healthy together if they feel that way, because we have an on-site gym, a rooftop garden, and then each one of the individual studio apartments, which comes fully fitted with its own ensuite, shower and bathroom, as well as a kitchenette, but also has some form of outside space, whether it's a garden or terrace. Obviously, we're in a beautiful location, and it's nice to take advantage of the weather that we have within Greece. So you can see here some of those images of what the renovation will look like. Now, coming back to something that I focused on at the beginning, that this is meant to be a fully managed investment, and that passive nature of the investment really does rely upon who the operator of the development will be. And here, the operator that we've selected is a company called Hamlet. Hamlet is a specialist student accommodation operator. They actually originate from the UK, but they also have been active within Greece now for a number of years. So they already have operations in Sparti, in Athens. And remember, I mentioned that there is one other student accommodation facility within Patra, which has 90 beds. Well, Hamlet also operate that. So if you think about an experienced operator, they not only have international experience, they have domestic experience within Greece, but also micro-location experience, because they already are managing a facility within Patra itself. So hopefully that speaks to that operator experience. So to summarize everything that we've learned about today's investment, this is an investment in an asset class that we believe benefits simply because of the supply and demand imbalance that exists within Patra for student accommodation. It's Golden Visa eligible at 250,000 euros. You also have the ability to earn some income on your investment. In this case, the first 5 years, you also have certainty because you get a 5% rental guarantee. It comes with the benefit of this 15-year management lease, so it does really give you that peace of mind. And again, we're talking about investing in Greece, where we believe the asset prices are still undervalued versus the rest of Europe, and therefore that capital growth likelihood is very much there. One thing I want to come back to is some of the numbers that Rosalia mentioned about what it costs for investors to access this type of investment, because there are other costs, which are the golden visa fees, the taxes, etc. We do currently have a promotion which is valid until the end of this month, and the promotion itself means that you can save on some of those additional costs that Rosalia highlighted. So if I just take you back to that Excel that we went through, these were the headline costs that we touched upon. And if you are within the promotion is valid till the end of this month, then the furniture pack is the cost that we would cover, the acquisition taxes, which is almost 15,000, we would cover, and also the golden visa fees for a typical family of 4 for the first 5 years, we would also cover. So that would move the investment cost down from 278,000 almost down to 250,000. So quite a meaningful promotion. Of the 56 apartments that we started to market recently, we've now taken 17 bookings. So there are still some slots left, but it is selling quite well. So I think with all that said, I'd like to pause there and say thank you for listening. Let me now pass it back to Vicky, who can perhaps open it up to some of the Q&As that I'm sure you must have. So Vicky, back to you.
Thank you so much, Rack. And thank you, everybody. We're now into the question and answer portion. We have one question here first that says, to enter Europe using the Greek resident card, does one need to enter through Greece? We'd probably like Valia to answer this question.
Of course not. You can travel to which one of your 26 countries you want at Schengen zone. So you don't need to enter Greece first. You travel directly to the country you wish.
Thank you, Valia. There's another question, and I guess this is also for the lawyer. Do I have to go to Greece to engage in this golden visa program?
In fact, the procedure starts with the reservation agreement you sign when you choose the property. Then you can sign the engagement letter with us by distance. The only duty you have is to come in Greece to give fingerprints after application for golden visa. So you need just to travel once to get the PR. When the PR is issued, we post back to you by courier, by DHL.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Valia. So in short, I guess everything is done for you remotely. You do not have to leave the Philippines. Powers of attorneys are sent by the lawyers once you're ready to embark on this program, and everything is signed at the embassy in the Greek embassy in Manila. We actually do that appointment for you. Valia does that. You would go there, the translator there. Everything is done remotely. Now, once the application is submitted, like Valia says, you will only have to go to Greece one day to do your biometrics, and that's it. From then, you would receive your residency card, and it's valid for 5 years with no stay or relocation required. It's 0 days until, again, you would have to renew. Thank you, Valia. There's another question. When can the main investor or applicant reunify their family members, the parents, the spouse, and the children under 21?
At any time. An investor can apply it first time, and then he can reunify his family members at any time he wants. The only thing they must remember that the expiry day of the PR card is the same as the main applicant. For example, if I apply today for the main applicant, his PR card will expire in 2029. So if a family member chooses to apply in 2027, that means that the same date will be the expiring date for their PR cards.
Wonderful, thank you. There's another question. I think this is for Rakesh or Rosalia. How big is the unit?
Okay, sorry, I was in mute. So we have different typologies, but the majority are in between 70 meters gross and in net with the terraces around 50 square meters. But it depends on the typology, so we can share some of the best units with anyone that is interested.
Thank you. So you can actually contact me. I would set up a Zoom call, and we'll actually be in the Philippines face-to-face on January 7 to 9 for events at the Manila House. It's a collaboration, and then Polo Club. Then we'll have the one-on-one meeting, so we can actually meet you privately. There's another question. Yes.
Sorry, Vicky, the only thing to add to that we will be there and we will be happy to meet any of you. But of course, because the promotion is until the 31st of Jan, if anyone is interested, we are very much available to progress during the next 2 weeks, so you can enjoy the promotion.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that. Also, there's another question. How long is the process? I guess this question is for Valia.
Okay, so it depends on when the payment of the amount of the property is finished. So when the transfer are finished, we start procedure for contract signing. It goes without saying that before this, we need the POA from each client, so we can issue tax number, which is specific for each of them. So after contract signing, we inform client, we send back the contract scanned, and if we have the okay, we begin procedure for a golden visa. So it depends on the wish of each client, the whole procedure. For fingerprints, I must clarify that we book through the system, so we must be informed at least 2 months before for the day you wish. For example, list for February opened yesterday, so yesterday we booked all appointments for February, so for March it will open on February, first 10 days, and it goes this way.
So I guess it goes without saying that the sooner you pay the investment in full, you're able to sign the contract, submit the application, and then they just notify you within the first 10 days of the beginning of the month if they want to go on the following month. But just to make it clear, we have no backlogs in Greece. for biometric schedule. And that's correct, right, Talia?
Yes, sure. And I must say that ministry is quite not so severe with investors. They try to be to make it easier, so they can even come for fingerprints even after 1 year if they cannot travel due to business matters. And
so I guess it also means that the processing time will depend on the individual client. So the sooner you make the payment, the sooner we can submit, and the sooner you can come to Greece for the biometrics, is the sooner you would get your card also.
Of course, the payment is the first thing to be done, because and the payment is the most important thing for Golden Visa. Is the most important condition. They check at ministry that it is made the right way from the main applicant to the seller, or from family members directly to the seller, to Greek account.
So once they get their biometrics done, how long can they expect the card?
Around 4 to 6 months.
Perfect. Thank you. And also the requirements are very simple, right? So if you're reunifying your family members, you only need birth certificates and
we need the marriage certificate for husband and wife. We need the kids certificate. It depends on which from which country it comes. So we need this valid passport, at least of 6 months validity passport. And for a Golden Visa to be issued, we need at least 1 legal entrance, which is done the day of fingerprints when they enter Greece.
Biometrics, right? So I think I'd like to highlight that those are the only things you need: birth certificates, marriage contract. There is no NBI clearance needed or police clearance from your country of residency or origin. So it's very, very fast and easy. What is the timeline of the filing to the residency? I think we've answered that, unless anybody would like to expound. Okay, so I can go to the next question. How long do I have to keep the investment?
You need to keep it for all 5 years. If you decide to sell the property during these 5 years, you lose the PR card. Also, your family loses the PR cards issued. You can instead you can replace, but you have first to buy the second property in order to sell the first one. So we get in touch with immigration, with ministry, and we explain to them that this contract must be replaced so you don't lose the PR card.
Perfect. So I guess that's short of saying that your residency card is attached to your property ownership. So
the property follows the PR, and by PR follows the property.
Okay. So there's another question: up to how many family members can apply under the primary applicant? I think we've answered that. 3 generations, right? So parents, children, and spouse. And with parents, I think this is where it's very different from the other Golden Visa programs. They do not
father-in-law, kids, parents, yes.
Right. So they don't have to be retirees or 65. They just have to be your parent. They can be 50 years old. So that's amazing. How long do I need? Sorry, is there a way to get the citizenship like in Spain or Portugal?
This is a totally different procedure in Greece to get the citizenship in Greece. It is not with Golden Visa. You cannot get the citizenship with Golden Visa in Greece. It's totally different procedure. It takes more time. You need to prove that you speak Greek. You have to, you go through an interview. It's totally different. You cannot buy it. Like, for example, in Cyprus with 2 million in the past, you cannot buy it.
Valia, it's probably worthwhile highlighting that actually you can achieve Greek citizenship, and whilst they are obviously different programs, the Golden Visa and the citizenship, by living in Greece, if investors chose to do so for a period of time, which I think is 7 years, then they could indeed try and move forward with a citizenship application. So you can have the option to get into citizenship, albeit through the regulations that deal with that.
Right. But I guess it's important to highlight that this gives you a plan B at the lowest cost, the fastest time. and it actually gives you access to legally live and avail of the healthcare, the education in Greece. So you're actually a resident there. So if anything happened, God forbid, and you needed to relocate, you are legally a resident of Greece. Like
you
an
need
immigrant.
at least you need at least 7 years of staying in Greece to learn history, to learn Greek, to know to speak Greek. You have an interview. You must prove that you can live in Greece permanently and get the Greek citizenship. So I guess it's a totally different. The faster is the golden visa, in my opinion.
Right.
The faster.
Okay. All right. There are other questions here. Some of them are consultative, and we want to be mindful of time. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Please reach me or Manila House to schedule a private consultation. We will be glad to do that at your convenience. Meantime, thank you very much, everybody. I hope this webinar has been informative and helpful. Like I said, the Greece Golden Visa is one of the cheapest and fastest ways to get residency in Europe. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, everybody, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.